Welcome. Today we will be reading Lesson 30 in the workbook and from the text, Chapter 4, Section 1, Right Teaching and Right Learning, paragraphs 8 through 13. And now for Lesson 30. God is in everything I see, because God is in my mind. The idea for today is the springboard for vision. From this idea will the world open up before you, and you will look upon it and see in it what you have never seen before, nor will what you saw before be even faintly visible to you. Today, we are trying to use a new kind of projection. We are not attempting to get rid of what we do not like by seeing it outside. Instead, we are trying to see in the world what is in our minds, and what we want to recognize is there. Thus, we are trying to join with what we see, rather than keeping it apart from us. That is the fundamental difference between vision and the way you see. Today's idea should be applied as often as possible throughout the day. Whenever you have a moment or so, repeat it to yourself slowly, looking about you and trying to realize that the idea applies to everything you do see now, or could see now if it were within the range of your sight. Real vision is not limited to concepts such as near and far. To help you begin to get used to this idea, try to think of things beyond your present range, as well as those you can actually see, as you apply today's idea. Real vision is not only unlimited by space and distance, but it does not depend on the body's eyes at all. The mind is its only source. To aid in helping you to become more accustomed to this idea as well, devote several practice periods to applying today's idea with your eyes closed, using whatever subjects come to mind, and looking within rather than without. Today's idea applies equally to both. The reason that love is in everything one sees is because love is in one's mind. The mind is the only source of perception. Yet love is not projected, but instead it is extended. In projection, one is attempting to purge oneself of something by seeing it in the world, while in extending something, one is uniting with what one is seeing, rather than keeping it at a distance. Thus, vision joins with, while normal perception separates. Vision is not limited to the body's senses, and therefore is not limited by time and space. It is not dependent on the proximity of an object, and thus the exercises also apply to things outside the range of one's sight. For vision is seeing with the mind's eye, which occurs even when one's eyes are closed. And now for our text reading for today, from chapter 4, section 1, Right Teaching and Right Learning, paragraphs 8 through 13. The ego tries to exploit all situations into forms of praise for itself, in order to overcome its doubts. It will remain doubtful as long as you believe in its existence. You who made it cannot trust it, because in your right mind you realize it is not real. The only sane solution is not to try to change reality, which is indeed a fearful attempt, but to accept it as it is. You are part of reality, which stands unchanged beyond the reach of your ego, but within easy reach of spirit. When you are afraid, be still and know that God is real, and you are his beloved Son, in whom he is well pleased. Do not let your ego dispute this, because the ego cannot know what is as far beyond its reach as you are. God is not the author of fear. You are. You have chosen to create unlike him, and have therefore made fear for yourself. You are not at peace because you are not fulfilling your function. God gave you a very lofty function that you are not meeting. Your ego has chosen to be afraid instead of meeting it. When you awaken, you will not be able to understand this, because it is literally incredible. Do not believe the incredible now. Any attempt to increase its believableness is merely to postpone the inevitable. The word inevitable is fearful to the ego, but joyous to the spirit. God is inevitable, and you cannot avoid him any more than he can avoid you. The ego is afraid of the spirit's joy, because once you have experienced it, you will withdraw all protection from the ego and become totally without investment in fear. Your investment is great now, because fear is a witness to the separation, and your ego rejoices when you witness to it. Leave it behind. Do not listen to it, and do not preserve it. Listen only to God, who is as incapable of deception as is the spirit he created. Release yourself and release others. Do not present a false and unworthy picture of yourself to others, and do not accept such a picture of them yourself. The ego has built a shabby and unsheltering home for you, because it cannot build otherwise. Do not try to make this impoverished house stand. Its weakness is your strength. Only God could make a home that is worthy of his creations, who have chosen to leave it empty by their own dispossession. Yet his home will stand forever, and is ready for you when you choose to enter it. Of this you can be wholly certain. God is as incapable of creating the perishable as the ego is of making the eternal. Of your ego, you can do nothing to save yourself or others, but of your spirit, you can do everything for the salvation of both. Humility is a lesson for the ego, not for the spirit. Spirit is beyond humility, because it recognizes its radiance and gladly sheds its light everywhere. The meek shall inherit the earth, because their egos are humble, and this gives them truer perception. The kingdom of heaven is the Spirit's right, whose beauty and dignity are far beyond doubt, beyond perception, and stand forever as the mark of the love of God for his creations, who are wholly worthy of him and only of him. Nothing else is sufficiently worthy to be a gift for a creation of God himself. I will substitute for your ego if you wish, but never for your spirit. A father can safely leave a child with an elder brother who has shown himself responsible, but this involves no confusion about the child's origin. The brother can protect the child's body and his ego, but he does not confuse himself with the father because he does this. I can be entrusted with your body and your ego only because this enables you not to be concerned with them, and lets me teach you their unimportance. I could not understand their importance to you if I had not once been tempted to believe in them myself. Let us undertake to learn this lesson together, so we can be free of them together. I need devoted teachers who share my aim of healing the mind. Spirit is far beyond the need of your protection or mine. Remember this: in this world you need not have tribulation, because I have overcome the world. That is why you should be of good cheer. In this section, we are told that although one made the ego, one is unable to trust it, because a portion of one's mind recognizes it is not true. One is the maker of one's own fear, because one has chosen a function that is in opposition to love's will. In acknowledging the ego, one is giving witness to the separation and the resulting fear. The home of the ego is impermanent, unsatisfying, and weak, while the true home of spirit is secure and is not perishable. One places too much focus on the body and would be better off served by turning over its welfare to spirit and focusing instead one's attention on healing of the mind. For the world has been already overcome, and one needs to align oneself with the mind that already accomplished this. The realm of oneness is one's true home, and only this is worthy of a creation of love.